welcome. Thank you for being with us. Bahar, you work at Salesforce. You are a senior solution engineer at Salesforce,
yes.
Which has a large office actually in Romandie. That it's quite a discreet office, but there is a lot of people working from there. And Priska, you're an entrepreneur. You work especially in talent recruitment.
Yes.
And you're the co-founder of TechFace. You're going to tell us about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about diversity and the place of women in the tech industry. And so my first question is like, where do we stand? Like, let's face the problem. You know, what are the numbers? What are the facts? Bahar.
Yes, so at Girls in Tech, we have a vision, which is to change the face of tech. And why is that? Because even though we're in 2019, the numbers and the lack of women are still high. So we have only 20% globally of women in tech. And in Switzerland, as usual, we have a little bit more work to do. So that number is 15%. And with only 8% of women as directors and leaders, what Simon was talking about beforehand. So we believe these numbers are still quite low.
So yeah, that's the problem in numbers. But how did we get there? Like, why are we there when, you know, obviously 50% of the customers of tech companies and of technology itself are women. So how did we get there? Priska, feel free to jump in. You know.
I mean, it would be easy to say we were at one point at a higher number, but we never were up there. So I think it's still the perception as well for the very young people that tech is not a girly thing, it's a boy's thing, and that's not true at all. So it's first of all the perception we need to change as well. And on the other hand, it's also opportunity we need to create, especially for women in tech teams, that they will be more interested to work in tech as well.
So let's then connect to what you guys do concretely. So you are a member, so you have your day job. And there's a group of women who came together, maybe also some men, by the way, who are called Girls in Tech. And so it's a global association, and you guys represent the Swiss chapter of this association. So tell us a little bit what Girls in Tech is and what you do concretely.
Okay. I'll jump in here because a little bit of history, how it started here in Switzerland. I met Stephanie. She is the managing director of Girls in Tech here in Switzerland about a bit more than 2 years ago at the Female Founder Summit. She just came back from the UK. I started my own business as well. And we started talking, soon realized we are both in the tech world and we both struggle also with not having more female friends in our daily life, work life. And so
Stephanie works for Palantir, by the way, Palantir Technologies.
Yes, exactly. And so she told me about this Girls in Tech community she got to know in the UK, and she told me that she would like to start this in Switzerland as well, because she, of course, was aware of all the low numbers here, and she felt we need these kind of communities here as well. And so we talked about it, and she asked me if I would be interested to join as well, especially for the German part of Switzerland, because she was building it up in Geneva. So we started about 2 years ago with the first events here in Geneva, and then also we had the first in Zurich, and we did realize there is more to it than what we just started. So it was a little stone we started, it turned into a bigger stone. And so mid-year of the first time we started to talk about it, how to really bring it up in Switzerland, because at the beginning we were just like, yeah, let's do a couple of events and see how that works out. And we realized we need to do more than just a couple of events. And we had our board meeting, the team grew. That was also when Bahar was on board as well. So we had about 6 or 7.
So the problem was bigger than you expected, but also the people willing to help were more numerous than you thought.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then, yeah, we decided let's do it more structured. And today, Girls in Tech is a community that offers young women, but also women who are already working and want to move into tech, an opportunity to learn more about the different kind of technologies. Also, we do events on career advice and mentoring events. So this is the opportunity to learn more about it, to find out what is out there and how can I find my own opportunity.
So that's a very important point. You know, in French, un mentor it's a male word, and what you're trying to do is to show that there is actually incredible women that can mentor, and so you put special effort into mentoring women and finding these like model figures like people who have been very successful, who work for incredible companies. And so what you do is that you put together these up-and-coming women with more proven women, and you create some exchange. And how does it happen concretely? Like if somebody can become a member and they get a mentor from you, and then they meet every month, or?
So first of all, on your comment about the mentor being male and female, we have both female and male mentors, because also our events are we're open. Of course, it's not women exclusive, so men are free to join. The idea is we have different types of events, as Priska mentioned, and our popular events are the mentoring events. So it could be different, but what works best is one-to-one mentoring. So we have specific subject matter experts. Could be an event around AI, we've had robotics events, and we have women who are interested in the topic, so either they're in the tech field or they want to get into the tech field that join, get access to this person on a one-to-one basis, and it's just not about spending 1 hour, but they follow up, so they meet up for coffee, and they actually go through this process, and it helps the mentees accelerate their career path. And actually, going back to some of the numbers and studies, the studies show that this lack of women in tech is not a lack of ability, it's actually the opposite, but it's more about lack of encouragement and role models. So that's why we incorporated such events, because we believe once we provide encouragement, be it through education, not only doing these girls in coding events, because tech is not just about coding, as we all know. So, for example, myself, when I'm invited to student fairs or just connecting with students, I tell them, hey guys, there are different types of roles in tech. I myself am not very good coder, but I'm in tech, so you could also look at different opportunities. So it's also about breaking the stereotypes, educating, starting from a low age, and providing access to this community to women. So yeah, those. So
it's a lot of work on the perception, on like a global perception by others, but also self-perception. And so it's fitting the session. It's called the new norm, and so we'd like to create a new norm where it's perfectly normal and fine for women to pursue that. One thing that I found very interesting, I mean, these questions are very touchy, and people get very sensitive when they talk about it. So you can approach them in a political way, like we should do this because it's the right thing. You can also approach them in a very tangible, cold, economical way. And this is what I'd like us to do right now, because, I mean, the numbers are quite striking. When, like, you get concrete returns on investments when you involve more women in the development of technology. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, one number which I have is the 19% more revenue. That's the average. But the biggest gap...
So sorry, be more precise. 19% revenue if you do what?
If you have more women in your teams and on the board of directors. If they looked at the Fortune 500 companies, the biggest gap between those who have almost no women on their board and those companies who had women on the board was 42% more revenues. So I think this is an ice-cold number which should wake up every CEO of the company. But behind these numbers are more. I mean, the important thing is to understand why these numbers are there. And one thing is basically that if you create a product and you have a homogeneous team, let's say average Caucasian male, somewhere between 25 and 35 years old, they produce a product exactly for these kind of people, for male, Caucasian, age 25 to 35. So you just have omitted 50% of the population of potential clients. And that should be the cause or the reason why companies should start thinking about having more women on their teams, on their boards, so they bring in the diversity in the product. And it is proven that creativity and decision-making is much better in diverse teams than in teams where everybody thinks the same, is the same, lives the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most basic thing in business. You need to do what people need, and you need to be able to relate to the needs of your customer. And if you have 50% of clients are female, but you have no female in your decision, it's a bad start when it comes to understanding their needs. But there are some even more tragic consequences. Like you were telling me when prepared that some airbags, for example, are 50% less efficient on women because they've been developed for the shape of
Exactly. They were built by guys for guys, so they omitted 50% of the population driving.
And is that something we see, because now we live in a world of algorithms, for example? Is it something that is going to happen also with the algorithms that do, I don't know, facial recognition or whatever?
It's even worse, and there was a good example you might have read in the newspaper from Amazon, who built their own recruiting tool on AI. And the recruiting tool started to be gender biased. So it started to neglect women because the tool was fed with data from their own company, which was mainly male employees. And the tool started to realize, oh, male employees are much better than women employees. So it started to kick out good women applicants with this tool. So they had to stop it. They had to turn it off.
And as you said, like, diversity is the key to survival in business and in nature, by the way, because you can adapt to more situations. And also there was this, I don't know if you saw, there's this video that's been going the rounds of Emile Servan-Schreiber, who's this neuroscientist and who's been studying the effectiveness of teams, and who said that teams with more women came up with better decision. There's also this number that we didn't mention, but venture capital firms that increased their proportion of female partners hires by 10% had 9.7 more profitable exits. So also, like, you become more able to relate to the founders and what they do, etc. So that's a win-win-win everywhere. Last point, it's very important. Again, it's a big issue we raised, like with Jeremiah earlier today. How can we concretely help that? So how can we push this forward? What would be the call to action to all the people sitting in the room today?
So as we mentioned, we're quite young still in Switzerland, the Swiss chapter of Girls in Tech. So we started 2 years ago. We came quite far. The community has grown, but we are a non-profit organization. So as an individual or organization, if you would like to support us, reach out to us. So we are on the social networks. We have a newsletter where we recap our priorities, what has happened on our past events, and what's coming up on the next event. And I think if I look at today, I've already connected with some of the speakers because of course we do all these events, we have role models, so we also want to enrich in our not database, but our database. So if you are interested and the cause is important to you and you want to join one of our events, either as an attendee or as a speaker, just reach out to us and help us grow the community, because out of all that we've done, I think the most important is the community what we've built, because it's about a place where women feel comfortable to come in, get informed, change their career or get into tech, and just be fulfilled professionally.
So just to disambiguate or whatever you say, the word coaching. When you mention coaching, people could expect, live coaching and telling you to keep on moving forward, pressing. Actually, when you told me the coaches you're looking for like blockchain coaches, fintech coaches, coding coaches, like people who have very deep technical skills. And that's also the type of mentoring you provide. So it's not only general life, it's like very deep tech type of people that should come to you and also apply to train the mentees on that.
It depends. I mean, some of our events are more technical on the mentoring side, but we've had also more, actually an event that was quite popular was how to negotiate a higher salary. So we had an HR manager who came, because of course this is a topic that's top of mind and we still have this gap. Some companies are better than others, but of women salaries with regards to men. So also from that aspect, you talk about technical, but more in terms of helping or mentoring women also in networking, because sometimes they're not best, they're more reserved. Women, unless they're 100% sure of their capabilities, will not actually talk about it. So they're also, in terms of self-confidence and networking, those are also aspects. So it can be coaching in a larger scale, so both two angles, technical and more on the soft skills. One of the funniest pictures I've ever seen on social media is this older woman who's in a feminist demonstration, and she holds a sign that says, "I can't believe I still have to protest this shit." My question to you is like,
Do you see an end to that imbalance, and what's the time frame for us as a society are you optimistic, and when do things balance out?
I'm very optimistic, but I read a number recently from the World Economic Forum report on the gender gap, which takes 108 years until the equality is reached, which is too long. But yeah. I absolutely believe we're on a good track to be faster than these 108 years. And I think one thing is with our events, like the coaching part, but also giving those room for women to be more open about the question, because they feel sometimes very insecure to ask certain questions, especially also in regards to career advice, and being able to give this room and let them ask the question and not feel stupid about it or not feel intimidated about it is something we really want to reach with Girls in Tech.
Bahar, your view on this? Look in the crystal ball. How long do you think sessions like that will be needed, that this topic needs to be brought forward, and we need to ask all of us to move on it?
It's an infinite game, right?
You're an engineer. That's an engineer answer.
No, I think I cannot give you time, but I think we're getting better and better. And I think what's important is, because some companies talk about quotas when it comes to women, I think we should not at all look at it that way, and just also from an individual aspect, see how we can help. So we coach, of course, we have our role models, but also all of us here, if I was to give you an action point, is to think of people who are around you, either if they want to get into tech or maybe your children, girls, how you can help them change the perception and change the face of tech for our future, for things to go faster. So, no concrete answer, but
it's a process.
It's a
process. The journey is on. The journey
exactly.
is on. You don't know when it arrives. One last thing, people who want to know more, where can we learn more about Girls in Tech?
So we are on social networks. Follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and sign up
for
on
the newsletter.
And I hope to see you at our next event. We have one coming up in EPFL in February. So
thank you very much. Bahar Sandal, Priska Burkard, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.